Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and with me this month, I guess, is our resident gaming journalist, Eli.
Hello, I show up sometimes. I precipitate out of thin air.
It's just like our podcast.
Gosh. And our retro aficionado, Unoclay.
Welcome, everybody. What have I been playing? We're not going to do what we've been playing first. There's the end of what I've been playing a lot of. Mike's not here to say it sucks, because it's actually a great game with some problems, but great overall. How you guys doing?
All right, so I think this time we'll kind of just jump quickly into the news, and then if we have time, maybe later we'll talk about what we've been playing, just because I find it takes a bit too much time, and sometimes like Eli or Mike leaves or jumps in, so just do that way.
Well, people don't want to hear about what we've been playing anymore. They don't want to know. The itching to know.
It's got to hold off for a bit.
Oh, we'll save it. We'll tantalize them with hints. Some of us have been playing Fortnite all the time.
Oh gosh. Yeah. No. Okay. I guess we're just never going to talk about what we've been playing again.
Phew. I don't want to embarrass myself.
All right.
Yes.
So getting into just some quick announcements. They announced the Banjo, Terry, and Male Byleth Amiibo that's coming out next year. So that's the rest of the first Fighter Pass in Smash Brothers. It looks like they're only... Oh, go on.
I wonder if they're actually like making money off these amiibos, or if someone's getting whipped for the fact that they still have to continue putting these out like they promised.
Well, I'm like kind of on both sides. I can see that they must be making money, because the thing is they're making amiibo that don't need to be made, like the Cat Mario and the Peach, or the Cat Peach amiibo. Like, they really need to make those? Not really. But I'm guessing they must make some decent amount of money off of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't. Like, for Smash, they're kind of screwed because they're, like, in all these deals and they have to. But all these other ones that are getting released, like, no one was asking for these cat amiibo, but they're making them, so...
I wonder if they...
Go on, yeah.
I was going to say, I wonder if their, like, toy division or whatever is, like, short $1 million. And they're like, we know how to make up this loss. We're just going to, like, put something out that suckers like Eli are going to just give us free money for.
Maybe.
I bet that they are producing them in far less greater numbers than before. And they're looking at pre-order numbers and, like, gauging, like, supply orders, like, based on that. And then, like, and if there'd be a run on one of these, we'd find out, because it would be like there wouldn't be any. Like, if there'd be some surge in demand for some weird reason for, like, a Terry amiibo, and, like, suddenly it would skyrocket in value, because everyone would we wouldn't know until we find out when it goes out of stock. Like, where it's like, wait a second, why can't you get a Terry amiibo? And everyone finds out all at once. Like, because it's got to be dropping. I mean, there is.
I think so, simply because of, like, how far apart all these DLC amiibo have been. Like, back in the heyday of Smash 4, it's like, here's 5 or 6 amiibo at once, and obviously they had to print like 50 of the suckers, so they had to kind of get through them faster. But and obviously these are more higher quality, but still it's like several months in between like 2 or 3 amiibo. It's like, do they really take that? And I'm even saying before COVID, obviously halted the production of all this stuff. Like, they were still, months apart between each other. So it's like, I'm guessing they're just really slowing down on it, being like, here's one, and then every couple months we'll release a new one for some other line, like the Cat Mario or the Monster Hunter ones eventually and whatnot. So I think they're definitely slowing down.
It also creates hype by doing that too, because, like, even someone who's oversaturated like me, where I still have that crate of, like, many amiibo I've never unboxed yet, like, then when they're spaced out, you have more of, like, a desire to buy them. If they were coming at you fast, a lot more people would burn out faster than they are right now. It's like a treat once in a while. It's like Byleth. Who the hell's going to buy that? If they had dropped it, like, with a whole bunch of others, but since it's going to be a little bit, like, more Spartan of a release schedule, there's that temptation. If you're a hardcore Fire Emblem fan or something, you're like, okay, I'll get one more, that feeling.
I saw someone point out that if they really cared about Amiibo. Apparently, the last, however many years it's been since the first Amiibo came out, probably, 6 now. If they had really cared about it, they would have updated the NFC technology, because apparently it's like, several generations down the line by now, since it's been, several years, and they failed to do so. They're still on the same primitive technology that they were on before. And so that's just like an evidence that they're not taking this seriously.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because they like realize they're not going to do, like, maybe the amount of people who are buying it isn't much, but also they don't want to do too much with it, so like they don't see the point in investing, because like all these Amiibo don't really add all that much. It's like, here's, I don't know, a costume. Like, I think Splatoon had maybe the most content for an Amiibo. I may be wrong, but it was like you get a couple of costumes, a song, like some other trinket. Absolutely. Like
Splatoon by far, I said it before in the show, Splatoon
like
were the best
8-bit mini games as well.
Yeah, the 8-bit mini games. They gave you games. It's so insane. Like it unlocked games. It's like it's such a fail. Like, and Nintendo's doing so great now, it's okay for us to hate a little bit, even if we're not, Mike, because like it's like they're winning on so many fronts in a lot of ways that this is like, well, that's one where I can really slam them. I'm like, dudes, you failed. Like, if you'd included tiny little arcade type mini games with Amiibo, just like based on the character, like if you buy a Yoshi Amiibo, you get like cute little like 8-bit Yoshi game that's like literally like a 5-minute game or anything, to play. It's like, that's the point. We're buying a video game, like that's the point here, but
maybe the reason they haven't updated the NFC technology is because they realize that the only people still buying these things aren't taking them out of the box.
There's that too. No one's really using them.
And collector mentality plays a role for sure.
I'm sure that they did have one app on the Wii U where, regardless of what Amiibo you had, it would unlock like a trial for like an NES or Super Nintendo game.
Oh,
it was like Amiibo tap. So I'm guessing they might have, like, it's obviously isn't great data because the Wii U only had 13 million by the end of it. Like people console sold. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of use that as a way to guesstimate how many people are actually using it. Like, here, you can use any Amiibo, so we can track all of them. And it's like, if no one's really using it.
Do? I remember that game. It was like some weird app game. Yeah, what did that do? Because I barely used it, and I have all those Amiibos. Like, what the heck was it? I don't remember. What did it do?
It randomly unlocked, like, I don't know, 30-second trial of like an NES or SNES game.
Right.
And then there was
you do a demo.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was awful. Yeah, that was not what we wanted.
And then the other one was like Mario versus Donkey Kong. It was like one of 10 different. It was free to play for like a couple levels, and then if you had a Mario series Amiibo, a specific one, then you could unlock like another world or whatever. But no one wants to buy 10 Amiibo to play a game that's not really worth all that money afterwards.
Yeah, that was not the right idea. That made it feel cheap and boring, because it's like, these are demos of games that are, first of all, 25 years old, that are, some of them are classics, some of them are not that interesting to younger players, and
takes literally 5 seconds to download. Yeah, we want to be honest with ourselves.
And it just felt cheap, because it was like, dudes, these are like demos you should be giving away in the eShop, like, to get us to buy the game, not like, here's a demo with your, you know what I mean? That's just,
have you heard of Super Mario World? Yes. This is no surprise.
Yeah. I mean, they tried. They were probably like, somebody at a meeting was told to come up with a use that they could have the Amiibos do.
Yeah.
And they were like, by the way, you have no budget. Like, we need to think of something free.
Yeah, they had to have like some sort of universal use for it, and then they just kind of let it go. The only other one that was substantial that I could think of was you could use the Twilight Princess Amiibo in Twilight Princess. I think it automatically came with the game, so it didn't matter. But I think if you bought it like without the Amiibo, like used or whatever, you would have to buy the Wolf Link Amiibo to be able to access like this challenge where you beat like 50 floors of enemies or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only other substantial one I could think of off the top
like
of my
content.
head.
like content.
Yeah,
you know,
content-wise.
like
I mean,
don't
ultimately, with the
Or in Breath
exception
of
of
the Wild.
Smash
Sorry, that too.
Bros, I don't think there was really any amiibo that functioned as something unique. Because of course, in Smash Brothers, you're kind of like trainee amiibo stored data, and you could actually train it, and it would level up, and you could.
Yeah.
You know, make it really unique. I mean, other than that, it's just been used as a DLC or microtransaction mechanism.
I mean,
in virtually
I'll
every
go
other
back to
scenario.
like defending the Splatoon ones because the Splatoon one walks the line a little differently because it unlocks mini games inside Splatoon, so it actually changes the experience of playing Splatoon, like Splatoon 1, that is. So like that's the only one that comes close. Like I think it's a more substantial experience, I guess, arguably for the ones you're talking about for the Smash ones, yes. But it's so repetitive that after a few of them, it's like such diminishing returns in my mind. I mean, shout out and kudos to like I have a few friends that were like hardcore amiibo trainers and trained tons of them for hours and hours and hours, like literally hundreds of hours. This one guy I know, I'm not even joking. Like they were obsessed with like having competitions, like pit fighting competition in their amiibos for real. They were doing what they wanted you to do, and if I look at his account on my friend list, he had over 600 hours of Smash, and the last time I talked to him, I said, we got to play again sometime because he's pretty decent. And he's like, oh, I don't even remember how to play that well. And it turned out that all those hundreds of hours I've seen him playing the game, he literally
oh my gosh,
his amiibos tree. Yeah, no joke. Like no joke. He's kind of crazy. Like he's kind of crazy. But they were obsessed with like trying to like manually not data mine the architecture, like but manually figure it out, like what works the best to train an amiibo. What are the variables hiding inside the algorithm for like how they get smarter? You know what I mean? Like
Fight
that.
Club.
People can get crazy into different things, right? Like it's not just you know, not just amiibo. Some of us get pretty crazy into Pokemon. I've been seeing the sort of RNG stuff that people are doing with the right now in Pokemon Sword and Shield is like pretty insane. It's
right.
It's really into the minutia of the fucking with the game code.
That's the thing. I think I respect what Pokemon, like true high level, like obsession like that does, because they actually have built the game to have that kind of like deep science to it. The thing that my friend didn't like hearing from me was saying, I think that the amiibos are probably random to some level, and all this training you're doing for like 100 hours for one amiibo probably makes just about jack shit of difference whether like somebody else who trained theirs for like 4 hours. And he didn't like that.
You're right.
It's like, do you really think they put that much thought into like how these things fight? You know what I mean?
It was definitely given to like an intern or something to figure out.
I mean, like AI.
Imagine
like,
it's just like after you get to, was it like 50 levels? It's like each 10 levels it goes up like 2 CPU levels in the game. That's just how it tricks people.
So we need you to take the game's base advanced CPU and make it dumber, but like proportional to levels.
Yeah, a little silly, much. Like make it silly a little. Make it do silly, chaotic things, like taunt when it shouldn't. You know,
just randomly give it some weird jumps off the side or like spams one move for a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I mean, like, what are the amiibos that we're looking forward to that aren't? Because I don't quite know what isn't available yet. I know there's a couple I kind of would like, but I have so many, it's hard for me to justify buying them. Are there? Eli's like, you're still getting all the Smash, right? I mean, you're just gonna get
all of them. I think that we only have. So I have all the amiibo. I finished off the collection last year, I think. Well, like caught up, I should say. We still, I think now, the remaining Smash characters, and then just the Cat, Mario, and Peach, and that's it. I don't think there's anything else planned.
So is there nobody from the original
Hunter
Smash
ones? But I don't know if you.
Oh shit! Those. Yeah, the Monster Hunter ones.
Yeah, Monster Hunter. Is there nobody from original Smash Ultimate that's not out yet, other than DLC? Is that like that's a question? Okay,
they pretty much released the last set of base game characters. I think it was like probably 2 years ago now.
Okay, I wasn't quite sure. Okay, right. Oh, because wait, Bayonetta came out kind of recently, right?
No, it was still a while ago. I was in. It had to have been 2 or 3 years ago. Because what they. Really? Yeah, I think so. Because what they pretty much had, if you remember, is they had almost the full set of Amiibo out with the Wii U version, right? Like by the
Right.
time the Wii U was done and the Switch came through, the only amiibo they had left to do were the new ones, the new characters, and there were like 6, right, or something like that.
And was Bayonetta the last character from Smash 4? Like, was she officially like the last character? Or
she was
like you or Ken or something?
Yes, so she was the last one that came out of the Wii U version with Cloud and
right.
There was one more. They all came out the same day. That all had the 2 players. Yeah, Corin. So they came out. They were the last ones, and that was.
I think that was the Bayonetta amiibo released July 21st, 2017, and
so there
her DLC I think came out. I think it was February that year, or maybe it was the year before.
What do you mean her DLC?
Before. Yeah, and I mean 2017 is when the Switch came out, right? Or 20.
No,
I think it came out 2017. Yeah, I think it came out March 2017. So, so yeah, I mean, pretty much by the time, and then Smash U came out the year after that. So, you know.
Okay. That's weird. For some reason, I felt like Bayonetta came out recently. I guess I must have just seen it on sale somewhere and thought it was recent or something. I think I just made a mental mistake, like spotting it somewhere. So, like, Banjo's not out yet. He's coming soon, right? Is that one of the ones?
2-player thing, what they do to player 1, player 2, is one of the most evil things Nintendo has done.
I don't get what you mean.
They pretty much rang me out of double the money for the same character.
What do you mean? I don't recall what you mean.
With
they published 2 amiibo for one character for Cloud, Corrin, and
it's 2 poses.
Yeah, like that was bullshit.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, because like honestly, I don't feel like they're trying to do that to you. I feel like they're literally saying it's just collectibles at some point. I don't know. I don't see malicious intent, but hey, man, you're addicted, so you know.
Yeah, for us addicts, it's like taking advantage of a gambling addiction. You know, I'm a poor addict here. Okay, I'm the victim of Nintendo's assertive amiibo policies.
When did the 2 poses start? Is that like only certain characters? I haven't really been thinking about it.
Yeah, it was only those 3. They didn't do it after that. But yeah, I mean, for those 3 characters, there were 2 versions.
Because like Bayo, I can see it. She's got great poses. Let's admit it. You know, you might not be able to decide which one you want.
Yeah, you want both. But the worst part was that, like, for me, is that I bought one of each pose, I think, when they came out. And I'm like, Eli, you don't need the second pose. Like, you can live without it. And of course, I'm an addict, so I can't. And by the time I actually got around to getting the second player, they were like more expensive. So
the funny thing is, and this is a little bit into the weeds, but hey, there's a podcast about video games, so I can confess dorky shit like this. When I was a kid, my toy of like addiction, the toy I choose to follow, which I regret a little bit because I wish I would have gotten more into Star Wars because the toys were just way better, and then Transformers were also way better. But like I was into He-Man, it's the one I picked. I was into high fantasy and I liked He-Man, but I never would collect. They started doing the thing with multiple different iterations of He-Man with like different weapons or different, you know, like action, I don't know, kinetics, different like things he could do, like different poses, whatever, different contortions. But I would never get them because to me it was like Toy Story sort of. It's like you don't have 2 Woodies. You know what I mean? Get it, girls? That's what he said. He don't have 2 Woodies. He only got 1. And like it felt weird, like in my toy universe to have 2 He-Man. So it was like, no, I just have OG He-Man. And I kind of automatically, when you said that, I would feel the same about my Amiibos. I don't want to have 2 Marios. That's just weird having 2 Marios on my shelf. Yeah. It's like which one's Mario now? You know, like what the heck?
You just got to compartmentalize them like Sega does with classic Sonic and modern Sonic. You're like, this is 8-bit Mario. He's from a different universe, and this is Cat Mario from a different universe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have P-Stand Link. Because I'm like, at some point I'd like to add Toon Link to my collection. I don't have either, and that's a decision because I'm like, I'm not gonna have both. Like that's okay in the game, but it's like that's like causing a temporal rift or something like that.
They are 2 different links. So,
well, we could debate the Hyrule Historia all day. Am I right? You know.
Not even the Hyrule Historia. It says in the games.
One of the best gifts that my girlfriend got for me that it was Amiibo related. She actually got me 2 really excellent Amiibo gifts. The first one was she got me the Wind Waker set of Zelda and Link Amiibo, and they're my favorite Amiibo. They're wonderful. I love the designs.
Nice.
They're
Nice.
but then on one of my birthdays, she got me, I think it was at the time the last Amiibo I needed. It was like the big Yoshi Amiibo. And at the time,
Yoshi.
yeah,
Nice.
Mega Yoshi.
Sorry.
At the time, so if you remember, it came out for $40, and so I didn't buy it. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. $40 for
the addiction.
It's a stuffed animal. Of course, like the addiction came to bite me in the butt, and Mesa with my girlfriend when she ended up getting this one for my birthday, it was like $85 maybe off eBay.
Oh man.
And she's like, Eli, I know this was the right move because by the time you actually like manned up and went to go pay and buy this thing, it would be like way more expensive on eBay. Like you better like just drop the money, take the L now, instead of like being a pansy and waiting.
You man up and go buy your stuffy animal.
And she was right to do so because I think the Amiibo is now like $170, $180 on eBay. So she actually, it saved a lot of money when she went and did that. But like,
man,
you and I both know that you're gonna like, go and take it and pay all the money it takes. So you might as well just do it now.
That's pretty great. My mother-in-law for Christmas bought me the Yoshi stuffed animal, the micro that comes with the game. So I do have it. He's riding, in fact, a snowspeeder from Star Wars hanging in my room right here. Like Yoshi's riding the top of snowspeeder. So universes are indeed colliding. So I don't have the big one though. That's a little too childish for me. I'm sorry. I only have the little one.
It's fine. I'm keeping it in a box in my closet.
Oh my gosh.
Throw up. It's so funny.
It's just never going to see the light of day.
Oh my God, your stuffed animal's a collectible in a box. That's fucking awesome. Excuse me, I just made our podcast R-rated. I shouldn't have sworn.
Remember when we all watched Toy Story 2 and we thought the toy collector was insane as kids? Or I guess I was a kid. You were probably not a kid, Clay.
I was full grown watching Toy Story. It was even worse.
But watching the collector get needed to keep it in box. I'm like, wow, now I'm such a relatable weirdo.
Yup, you went there. You became that dude, bro. Yeah.
Sure, if I ever run for office, I'll have attack ads about how I'm like the weird guy in Toy Story.
Have you seen what's in this guy's closet? Open it, it's just a bunch of Amiibo falling out. It's like, do you trust this man if he can't even put his things away properly?
Yeah.
It's kind of tangential, but it kind of loops back to the very origins of this podcast since we were a My IGN offshoot. Did you guys see the pictures of Max and Brian cleaning out their desks at the old office this week? They put up pictures on Twitter of IGN is moving offices and they had to clean out their desks because COVID I think they're downsizing to a new office, a less expensive one. And their desk, it was not like that when I'd been to the offices before. It wasn't quite this insane, but I'd seen Brian's desk because he took me on a tour. And take a look at the pictures. It's insane because he put up a couple pictures last night of cleaning out their desks. They must have had somewhere in the neighborhood of like 300 collectibles on their two desks, like right next to each other. Like it's nuts. It's like it dwarfs an Amiibo collection. It was like toys from every universe, from every collectible series, from everything, and it was like nuts. Like you're like, holy cow, like there's no way you're working on that desk. That desk became like a shrine. Like it was like nothing but toys. It's really crazy. He was saying he was pretty sad, he's like, this is kind of weird because we built this collection over years and this is truly the end of an era because we're totally moving offices and we won't, I think he's saying they won't have the space or whatever to reestablish the toy fortress or whatever.
Oh
but
my gosh,
yeah, check that out.
It's insane.
It's insane. This is called, you might make okay money doing what you do, but there's no way you should be spending that much money on toys no matter what job you have. I just know.
I'm sure a lot of their stuff got for free though, because I got this.
I'm sure
I remember
just like
I got this like Warframe bobblehead like a year and a half ago. I've literally never written one article on Warframe. I maybe played the game like twice, but now I've got like this 10-inch bobblehead that they just sent me for no reason.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, if you don't want it ever, I'll pay for postage to give it to a friend for a gift. I have two friends that went down the rabbit hole with Warframe for like 2 months, like racking up like hundreds of hours. They were really obsessed and trying to get me into it.
unfortunately, my cat
Oh,
broke the head off. So it's glued back
yeah.
on, so it looks whole, but it's no longer a bobble. It is
Oh.
more
Yeah.
like a statue.
Its primary function in life has been redefined to be
Yeah.
a glue. So that's all the news, right?
Yeah,
Amiibos.
yeah.
They're
We'll see you next week on the Amiibo podcast.
I liked how what we've been playing would take too long, so that's why we spent half an hour on Amiibos.
It's
I
because
like how we
like
start off with let's get off with some quick news, and
yeah,
that
Amiibos.
is not what I
love 'em.
expected. Oh man, good stuff. Though.
What's up
Good stuff.
next, Matt? We
All
really
right,
did
so,
talk about Amiibos too long.
Let's see if we get through some of these other things quicker. I just wanted to announce the 3DS is officially discontinued after 9 years, and 75 million units sold. So almost went a
How many?
decade. It said 75 million in this article. That seems lower than I would have thought.
That's a great number. That's a great number. It's a little sad. 3DS was awesome. Like I didn't actually hear that it was discontinued. I learned about it from you giving us the notes for this episode. I was like, wait, what? Like, where did I miss that? It definitely snuck out. At least I didn't hear about it.
What a wonderful console. Except the new 3DS was a scam, but other than that, wonderful console.
Well, it probably was like a little bit of both columns because they were testing the market again, and then it didn't like inspire enough people to go buy it. You know, everybody was ready for like the Switch, the rumored Switch, so it just didn't. It wasn't like the hot tamale. I mean, they revised the DS so many times that it wasn't like crazy of them to try it. You know, it's like, I mean, the most valuable DSs are the later models now because they're the best ones. You know, so it's like, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I couldn't imagine playing GBA games on the original GBA. You definitely need a light, otherwise you're gonna like go blind. I don't know how I used to play games on that thing.
Yeah, I have one, and I've played it like 5 times. It's like so awful. You can't see anything. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, that's crazy. End of an era. 3DS, man.
Well, it's kind of sad because in a way, having handholds was interesting because, you know, consoles were obviously more powerful and you could get there's excitement in seeing the next jump with that. But with handhelds, because they were behind, it was kind of like reliving the earlier days of new consoles for, I would say, like younger or my generation. Like for Unoclay, you grew up with, you know, the 8-bit consoles and everything else when it started. And for younger of us, like I'm trying to think what was it basically
point.
Restarted that generation or that kind of feeling in a sense, like, oh sure, games are in 3D, but whoa, this Game Boy, or I guess 2D at that time, but it's like, whoa, the Game Boy, it's 8-bit. It's the first thing. It's like reliving that kind of generation over again. And now that everything's caught up to HD, it's like you can't really have that.
You're talking about forced retroism. You're almost like talking about forced retro appeal.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, it forces you to enjoy something that's a little more technologically like archaic, and that it's okay to. It makes it like kind of cool or something.
Well, it's like for people who missed the boat, like, oh, I didn't really know what gaming was like when it first started. It's like, oh, if you're a bit late to the game, it's like you got to kind of relive that in handheld form and
that's
appreciate
really interesting
that. Because like even going from the DS to 3DS, it's like, sure, 3DS looks ugly compared to all these other games, but that jump was still like exciting in itself. It's like, whoa, these games are in like actually 3D now and look interesting, look cool.
And they're really good resolution, like just regardless of whether you like 3D, it's like, this is really good graphics. You know, that was why I wanted the revised model, because my friend bought it and it just was much brighter, was the thing that leapt out at you. It's like the new 3DS was like just decently notably brighter, like in terms of the presentation. And it was like, okay, that is pretty neat, you know, but I wasn't willing to invest when it turned out it was only 2 games or 3, you know, I think, like, was it more than 2 games that were even exclusive? I don't even know.
Yeah,
it's
like that.
Yeah, it was really small, like Xenoblade or something, and something else.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, but no, Monster Hunter wasn't exclusive because I played it on my regular 3DS.
Oh, okay. It was. I was just thinking the nub. That's why.
Yeah. I always think it is too, but it wasn't that. It was something else. I feel like there was another exclusive.
There was
also
the Binding
I was
of
definitely
Isaac? There's some downloadable eShop game that was exclusive.
Might be it. I forget. Like that might be it. That was exclusive, but I'm not sure.
Also, I was definitely totally sold on the Kool-Aid of the 3D when I bought the system. Sorry, this is gonna make you seem like a grandpa, Clay. When I bought the 3DS, I think I was in 8th grade, and
checks out.
I was totally sold on the.
I loved it too. Yeah, I loved it too. I thought it was awesome. I still play games with the 3D on if I'm sitting still. Like it's like when you're standing in line, which is where I use it the most now because I keep it in my backpack and I'll like whip it out when I'm sitting there and play like another 3 minutes of Codename Steam, which I bought for $5 and I think is really boring, but I'm standing in line, so it's better than line, you know? So like that's my review. Like, you know, but, like you know, it's like whatever, like it's cool. I like the 3D effect, especially in some games. Some games did it really well. You know, it made it really interesting. You know, there were definitely better games for it.
It's a nice addition, I think. Yeah, like it didn't really change a lot, but it's like, hey, this kind of looks nice.
And then some games, it wrecked the game. Like Kid Icarus Uprising is one of the best games in a way on the 3DS, and also one of the most problematic, acknowledged. But like the 3D in it makes it so damn hard in some ways because like walls and like camera control get insane where you're like, oh my god, like fuck, I couldn't see anything, you know. It's and then 3D adding this layer to it when you're trying to like navigate complex 3D environments for a game. It's a little too ambitious for a handheld system, but go Sakurai, you know, like where you're like, you know. But yeah, R.I.P. man. I'm still playing mine, and I still kind of like occasionally search around for like the obscure title that I haven't played yet, which is why I bought like Codename Steam, which I knew I wouldn't like because I don't like tactical turn-based like games like that. I think they're really generally boring. But it's like, fuck it, you know. Excuse me again, R-rated podcast. Like, you know, like the system is basically dead. I should just play games on it, you know, rather than let it just gather dust. It's sitting right there. I can put it in my backpack, and it's a lot less valuable than breaking a Switch, you know, or whatever. So, you know, it's definitely still in rotation a little bit for me, a little bit. I haven't gotten a tag in a long time, and I live in a major city, so I was still getting tags occasionally. Like last year, I think I got like one maybe. I could go check because you can, you know, look at the like your plaza or whatever. But I haven't gotten one in like a year, I'd say. Well, Corona's changed everything too. That's another factor, but that really tells you it's not as hot, you know. So I wonder if Mike still gets them in New York City because he's like in the epicenter of where you might still get a tag if you walk around with your 3DS on. But yeah.
But farewell 3DS. You had a good
farewell 3DS. You did have a good run 3DS. We liked you. We're fans. You got it through some dark times when the console was failing. Yeah. You were holding it together. You were you know, you got us through some dark times 3DS. So.
Weird back and forth of which one has games. Okay, it's the 3DS's year to have games. And then Wii U's next year, and oh man. Interesting.
So is this the first time then historically since like NES that Nintendo only had one product?
Probably.
Like one gaming product? Like because there's literally never, because Game Boy came out during NES. And so since then it's been the two pillar system, and they tried to force it into the three, which we all know is a comical joke. Like, you know, like how is that possible? It's not. You know, but like, yeah, weird. I wonder if that freaked some of them out internally, because that's like just such an ingrained business model for them that it's like we have one thing to fall back on, we have one thing that's like twilighting, we have one thing that's new, and now it's like we have one thing. Thankfully, it's insanely successful.
Yeah, I'm sure they were definitely preparing in case that didn't go well.
Yeah, there was definitely a backup plan there.
Yeah,
but that's probably been cut out now. In fact, it's probably switched to something more like we'll just create different iterations of the Switch, like, you know, the handheld only Switch, or maybe a TV only Switch.
Although we know this company well, we're all big fans and we've seen them a long time. I would say let's wait and see. Not making any prediction or call here, but I'm saying they're so a company that sticks to their guns on an idea, whether it's like good or not, like forever. that like it wouldn't I don't even know what it would be, but like in a year that they come out with some other thing that would be in concept another pillar where it's like, you know, it's not a Switch. It's definitely not a Switch, whatever it is. That's the only thing I would say. Like, you know, like it's like what imagine what it would be. It's not a Switch, it's this other thing that you're supposed to buy and it'll have a long tail. It's not just gonna be like a once and done like Mario Kart like pod racer, you know, or whatever. You know, it's like it's something that, you know what I mean? Because it would just be like it's just.
I can't imagine what it would be though, because like obviously you can't make another handheld because that's
like a Nintendo phone. But... you know, a Nintendo phone. Like just be really crazy. Like
the only thing I can think of is like you're gonna laugh like some sort of VR thing again, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
No, but I mean that's what I mean. Like something else, like something that's like
weird thing. Maybe
that they're like so that we're not only the Switch company, because that's not what we are. We're not just the Switch company. I mean, they are doing all kinds of other stuff now that are other revenue streams like theme parks and toys and Lego and everything like that. They really are branching out. So that could be the other pillar. It's all around us already. They're not just a Nintendo video game company anymore. They're like, nope, we're doing other stuff. We are. Look at what we're doing. We're doing lots of other stuff. We're allowing movies to happen with our properties, you know, like that kind of stuff, you know. So
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they try to diversify rather than just more hardware.
Right.
Because that's all the different like types of mediums is something they haven't really done much of since like the 80s or 90s. So I think that
could be it. I mean, it's all around us. The other pillar is already all around us. Like it's the other revenue streams that they developed and are like, no, we can take the plunge here and pull the plug on something that's not selling anyway anymore. It's not like a big risk. It's like, yeah, everybody wants to Switch. No little kid is like, get me the 3DS. They had that Christmas, like, you know, that it exploded for no obvious reason, like a year or whatever ago. And then that's it. You know, it's like every single kid wants a Switch now. You know, that's it. There's no question. You know, I was walking on the frickin' street the other day, and you just don't see stuff like this. And just in somebody's trash, like out on trash night, sitting in the top of the trash bin, were two brand new empty Switch boxes. Trust me, they were empty because I opened them up, of course, to look. It was like they weren't far enough in the trash that I cared. I was like, I'm checking. You know, like there might be like a Joy-Con in there or something. You know, like it's. You know, there was paperwork. Of course, I collected it and put it away in my vault. You know, of course. No, I'm just kidding. But, but no, I was like, wow, that's how big Switch is. Somebody bought two of them at once, just threw the boxes out. It was just like, yep, got a Switch. Got to have one. You know, everyone's got to have a Switch right now. You know, it's the thing. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Tales of the trash.
Yeah. The other interesting news was Nintendo leaked their own game. They had on their website an icon and description for Kirby Fighters 2, and then a couple of days later, or maybe it was the next day, I forget, they showed it off in a video and announced it, and it's out now. It's $20. It's a sequel to Kirby Fighters on the 3DS, which is basically like a top-down. Oh wait, no, it's like Kirby Smash Bros. Basically, but instead of different characters, they're different copy abilities. There are a couple of different characters, but mostly it's just like different Kirbys. They added like a wrestler Kirby to it and some other stuff.
It's like if you play Smash Brothers and are Kirby and copy someone else's ability. So it's like having Smash Brothers with just Kirby. That's pretty cool. Sorry, Kirby-ator here. Yawn. I never even heard about this. I think I heard I saw someone on Twitter say, I didn't know so many people were fans of Kirby or Kirby Fighters all of a sudden or something like that. And that was the only context I had for it, that they were kind of making fun of people being excited for it or whatever. But I don't know. You guys into it? It's going to do some Kirby? No?
Not really.
But,
I never played the first one.
Yeah.
I like Kirby, but not this type of Kirby.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think that really I don't know, it doesn't look like something that would play all that well. Or like if you think Smash is a party game, this seems like more of a party game. Like it just seems that much more simplistic, and like Kirby is fun to play as different copy abilities in the game, but it doesn't feel like good enough to play as like a pseudo fighting game. So I'm not really interested. But I did listen to the remixes on YouTube, And Eli, I don't know if you've played Kirby 64, but it has a lot of Kirby 64 remixes, and music is actually pretty good.
Nice.
So I'd say check it
Oh,
out.
Nice.
I'll check out the music.
Yeah,
I love the
Kirby
music.
64 like in bursts right now. I'm playing it for the first time. Like that game is kind of like it's harder than any other Kirby game I've ever played. So it's like at least it's got that going for it. I actually die in it. I literally it does have decent music, like the original game that is. So that's cool.
Wow, dying in a Kirby game sounds like
I know.
now
pansy,
who's a
dude.
pansy?
Yeah. It's honestly a little bit because I don't care that much when I'm playing it. I'm not trying to like pretend like
Sure,
it's like
I'm only pretending to be terrible, guys.
it's sort of so I'm not even joking. It's sort of so boring that like I just take hits when I don't need to. I'll just like do stupid stuff. Like I'll have the wrong copy ability and just set it off because I'm bored kind of and like
Sure.
just take a hit. You know what I mean? Like
Whenever
I
I
don't
die in Dark Souls, it's also because I made a stupid move.
Souls for scurvy. OMG. Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah,
Just joking.
I never made that comparison. You're right. You're onto something there. It's no,
Don't you
it's,
know
it's,
if you ever die in a game, and you're even when you're on hard mode, it's just because you did some or easy mode. It's just because you did some dumb.
yeah. The problem with Kirby, honestly, this is actually being honest, is like as someone who's relatively not that versed in the series, the game doesn't do a great job of telegraphing to you or like educating you in advance, at least at that level. I'm on N64, like, so maybe it's changed since then, but like of like what enemies would take damage from what powers.
Oh,
So
sure.
sometimes
Just blame the technical
Mr.
constraints of the console.
Kirby is a kid's game and can't beat it without dying. This game
No,
doesn't
it's
tell me
like-
how to do everything.
you'll have like the stone power, and you'll be like, oh, I could kill anything with this. But then you'll drop stone on like something, and then you take a hit, and you're like, what? Like, how does that damage me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's maybe
Totally
I just don't
joking.
care.
I play games on easy mode too sometimes.
Yeah. No. Well, I actually think the game is challenging because I mean, it doesn't like spam you with health, so you actually have to play it carefully, and I don't. I would say that. Like, I'll just like
That's
walk
true.
around, and because I expect it to be kind of easy, and then like it's a little harder than I expected to be, and I end up having to like redo levels where I'm like, get the fuck out! I died in a Kirby level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, like feeling constantly, but. It's all right. I got bored of it. It's literally in my N64 right now, so I'm not done with it entirely because I probably am pretty near the end. I played a lot of it. I played a lot of levels where I was
What
like,
world are you on?
I don't know, maybe the 5th or 6th world.
You're getting there.
So, yeah, I was gonna say it's probably not,
I've got to head out, but I was gonna say that it reminds me of when I played Mega Man. I got the the Legacy collections, and I was playing through, and I don't know how you ever played through that. How anyone played through those games? I'm so bad at them. I die so much. How do you avoid damage? I think I'm just too. I'm not conditioned for the hardcore lifestyle.
You're a big fan of Mega Man 2 and 3, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
mean,
think I'm just
like,
bad at
what's your
video
next game?
games, but or like I need to play it enough
doubt it.
times because I'm sure that you all probably died a ton too playing.
I'm not
them.
gonna say I'm all that great. I'm actually pretty. Sounds dumb. I'm kind of dumb when I play them because I know I should be more careful at certain points, but I just kind of like push my way through. I'm like, I'm just gonna go through, and then I die, and I'm like, wow, what a surprise! And then I just like keep doing it. So it's basically like some of it's memorizing patterns because some of the enemy placement is garbage, and you have to like actually in the earlier ones you actually have to die before you figure out, oh, I can't see past this screen. I have to remember this flying enemy is right there. So yeah, some of that is kind of garbage, but
I mean, like caution, early Mega Mans, which are the ones I'm best at. Like, it is definitely cautionary. Like, you're not supposed to charge ahead. In fact, like, and I'll be honest, like, Mike's probably better at Mega Man than me because he just blazed through the whole. He said he played through 1 through 6 all in a row, and like. I just don't have the patience because I actually like 1, 2, and 3 the best, and then after that, there's diminishing returns IMO. Although they are good, 5 and 6 are neat. But like I use the Mega Buster the most because it's the best weapon, except in Mega Man 1. So there's another tip for you. It's like I don't run around changing items the whole time because I feel like it's not a false flag is the right way to put it, but it's like a needless temptation that's just going to distract you. Like unless there's an enemy you can't take down with your buster. Yeah, exactly. Like your buster is like oftentimes your best choice, and just don't even overthink it. Just shoot everything and advance slowly unless you already know that there's like an enemy that's going to swoop behind you or something like that. I don't know. I think Mega Man 1 is harder than 2 and 3 by a lot. So if that's the one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I beat 1. That's the one.
Yeah.
But it was like I had to use save states. I'll be honest. I used
the Yellow Devil is a pain in the ass.
Yellow Devil, most people would say that's sort of fair. When I was a kid, I couldn't beat the Yellow Devil. I can beat him naturally now, but that's why he's in Smash Brothers, because he's such a legend. Because that game, for I played Mega Man 1. It was one of the first NES games I ever played weirdly, because Mega Man 1 was not a huge hit in its time. It wasn't like the way Mega Man is after 2 and 3, like where everyone knows about the game and it was front page and Nintendo Power and stuff. But Mega Man 1 was a kind of obscure game in its time, but it was so unique. I think word of mouth made it kind of get popular with friends, and my friend would rent it and I'd play it with him. And I think it's one of those games I can't really evaluate and step back from. Eli, the way you're saying, oh, are you bad at games? I'm like, no, I don't think you are. It is one of those games that if you had 3 games to pick from, you just played it a lot. So some people that are like Mega Man enthusiasts, that's kind of it. Because I had that exact debate with someone on Reddit or something a few years ago that was they were saying Mega Man's hard. And I'm like, I don't think of it as hard. I respectfully disagree, but it was not a respectful debate. He didn't want to be respectful. He's like, fuck you and your big attitude. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I am saying I played it a lot, and I'm saying it is a game you can get good at if you play it a lot. It's not an unfair piece of shit bullshit game, just like Castlevania 1 is or something like that. Yes, it's hard, but you can master it and run through it without a ton of effort. You'd have to put a lot of effort into it. It's no Kirby.
And to be fair, Clay, you're the type of gamer that enjoys dying.
Yeah, I do.
And going through it again and again. And I am the type of gamer that's if I can't be good at it inherently, fuck off.
That's funny you say that. I just beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts last night, and that game is insanely difficult. It's freaking crazy.
I played it for
it's not
2 minutes, and I'm like,
I'm
gonna skip.
But I get off on that. I do. It's the Dark Souls masochism. I heard a term called masocore is a term I've heard thrown around for that kind of game now, like Super Meat Boy, Celeste type stuff. That's exactly what you're talking about. That it's a game.
Okay, I don't mind if it's an instant reset. I love actually Super Meat Boy and Celeste. I beat them both. I think they're great. But so when it's instant reset and I only lose 10 seconds of progress, I don't mind. It's more when I if I have to start this level over and be super careful, 5 minutes, it's it's too much for me.
Yeah, it gets annoying for sure.
All right, I've got to head out. It's been nice catching up with y'all.
Likewise.
See you later.
Be safe. Study hard, bro. There is a huge difference there. I had put on Twitter that I was playing through Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and that game on this topic is exactly it. If you could have someone rebuild slight elements of it, it should be rebuilt to have a little bit more of the Celeste mentality of the quick restart. Because I'm not saying it's flawed. It's only flawed in the sense that if you're not playing with this system where you can do save states, the game is insane because it expects you to beat the whole thing in one sitting. Yeah. And that's insane. It's not fair. It should let you save at the end of a level. And that's what I was doing. I wasn't saving. No. You have to you have to brute force continue your way through the game. And basically expect you to just practice and get good enough that you could run through the earlier levels, I guess.
So did it save it all?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a save feature natively.
That's weird because SNES games were didn't they mostly have save features?
It varies. I mean, it varies, but
they at least had passwords to meet. At some point.
Yeah, they don't even have that. It's a straight up continue.
Oh, man.
It's a straight up continue type game. It's it does.
That'd be a fair. I would say that's if we're gonna argue playing fair or whatever. It's definitely fair to save after, a level where it should be. You should be able to save.
And that's where it's flawed. That's where it's an arguable flaw in the game because it's just so. it's of that era where like Ninja Gaiden or something like that, where they expect you to just get good at it so good that like now you watch a speedrunner who did get that good go through Ninja Gaiden 1 in like 25 minutes,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's freaking nuts, because I spent 100 hours of my childhood playing Ninja Gaiden and never finished it, or whatever, and it's just like, because every single time you turn it on, you start from the beginning, and that's just the way we were raised. And like now I can see both sides of it. And the problem that I'm not against it, I guess in the end, I'm not against it. I'm like, hey, games can be games. There's different value in different types of games. I think Dark Souls is one of the most amazing games of the past generation, and it goes back to that kind of mentality of like, get good or get out. It's just like, no, and it's like, and there is a huge value to it. That's why it's famous. Like there's a way to make that fun. The problem with something like Ghouls and Ghosts is without save states, it's almost like you can't have a happy medium, because with save states, too many people aren't going to truly appreciate their game. They're going to scum their way through it.
Yeah.
And they're not really going to enjoy it. It's not going to be the same experience. It's like, well, I beat it, so what? It's like, it was kind of cool. And like, so it's like I forced myself to not save scum. I only would save at levels. Like I was like, okay, you have to get good enough to beat the level in a go. And even if it's annoying, that's what you have to do. Now, here's the funny part. Like, I don't know if you're aware, but original Ghosts and Goblins, you might have seen the AVGN video where he explores this in depth and in loud swearing. The original Ghosts and Goblins, which is the first one in the series, you have to beat it. It is one of the hardest NES games, or it's extremely hard anyway. And then when you beat it, the game simply tells you, sorry, our princess is in another castle, and you have to start over from the beginning and do the whole thing again in hard mode to see the true ending. It's insane. It's the same.
So you have to beat it twice in like one sitting.
Yes.
That's insane.
Exactly. Yeah. The AVGN video explores it in great depth and with lots of swears if you want a good laugh about it. Like, and it's like, but so I expected nothing less than when I finished it last night. A pretty hard game. It's a little less hard than it seems once you learn its logic and like start playing it and use a save state like I did, like on each level, admittedly. It's a little less hard than it like, and it's a little more fun, and it's got really great artwork and really great music. That's why Nintendo pushes it onto the service and stuff like that. And it's on the Mini, which is where I'm playing it. But like the artwork, the sprite work, everything like that, and most people aren't going to see that stuff without save states or something like that. It's like, wow, this is a really cool game, firewalled behind like insane difficulty that only like 1% of players are going to ever experience. So there's that weird value versus like there's a lot of older games like that where like they maybe the art could have been better appreciated had they designed it a little differently, but that's an old argument. It's nowadays we do have. I would have loved to ask Eli, like when he says he beat Celeste and he claims he's a like kind of like not into super masochore like gaming. I really want to ask him, and I'm gonna have to hit him up on Twitter and ask him, like, did you really beat it? Because like I beat a hell of a lot of it, but like I'm into what's called the B-sides if you played it, and it's like it gets into like Meat Boy territory where the native game of Celeste is not that hard. IMHO, like it's kind of challenging, but once you learn it and just get good at it and put a little time into it, it's not as hard as Meat Boy. I would say that it's a little less hard than Meat Boy, and then it opens up all these like the insane like super Star Road level like stuff. And like one of my friends who's really good at games said it beat me. I did not fully 100% Celeste, and I didn't give up on it. I just kind of like lost interest in it, not out of it being too hard. It's just like it's so much content. The game has so much in it that it's like whew. And one level is literally like is going to take you 100 tries. You're just like,
oh my gosh,
oh my god, this is getting nuts. It's the stuff that watching someone who's truly good at Celeste is like an art, because you're like, oh my god, like you beat some of those levels and you feel like a superhero Dark Souls style, that you're like, I can't believe I just did what I did. Let me watch the replay of that. That's insane. That kind of feeling, like, because it truly is like, I'm going to say I bet his answer is no, I did not beat all of the B-sides or whatever, or all the hidden gated stuff or whatever, because it's just nutty. But anyway.
Well, that kind of reminds me of when I was playing Katana Zero, where it's a game where you also play like, here's one level, you kind of just gotta try it a bunch of times and then figure out the pattern and go through it quickly. And that's a pretty fun game. I wish it was a bit longer, and unfortunately the like slowdown mechanic wasn't really necessary, which I thought was unfortunate. It's like, oh, you have this mechanic and you made it look like it was part of the. You made it look like it was an integral part of the game in the trailer, but you really only need it for like 1 or 2 bosses later on because like the moves are so quick that.
A lot. That's interesting you say that. I used it a lot. Like I used it for fun, if nothing else. When I was fighting, I liked the bullet time effect or whatever. Like it was fun.
I probably did.
I would say.
I don't remember because it was a little while ago, but I think I used it a decent amount. It was just that it didn't feel like I needed to.
Interesting.
Like, oh, you could definitely like play these levels without it. But
interesting.
I mean, it's still fun. I liked it. Apparently, there's supposed to be DLC this year, but I don't know when that's gonna happen.
That's what I was gonna ask you about because there was that mysterious door at the end.
Like because I played the game a month or 2 ago, and then I looked up on Reddit because there's the door, and I'm like, oh, what the heck is this about? And it was someone was saying it's a teaser for DLC, and the last I recall from some Reddit post was that it was supposed to be in October. I don't know.
For listeners who don't know, we're talking about the end of Katana Zero. It's a great game, great indie game, pretty cheap. It's like bullet time side scroller, kind of NES, Super NES style, but a lot more advanced, like kind of a 2D platformer with like bullet time mechanics and time slowdown and stuff. But like the end of the game, there's this weird door that says come back in 6 months. And it's like, wait, what? You know, it doesn't explain itself at all. And it's just sort of in the like lobby of the game. And that's what you're talking about, right? You're like, that's where the DLC is supposed to be. But it's been a lot more than 6 months because I beat it 6 months ago and you said you just beat it and it still says come back in 6 months. So something's up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So I hope there is. That game is pretty neat. It reminded me of a few other games, but I'm going to get us off topic if I start talking about that. So yeah, I liked it. I think a lot of people have heard of it. It's a pretty big indie game and it's probably pretty cheap by now. So definitely cool. Katana Zero.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Yeah, I can't find any news on anything that's recent. Oh shoot, let me click this. September 15th. First, I'd like to thank everyone waiting patient. There's so much I wish I could share. I don't want to spoil it. Rest assured, I can't wait for you to see it. And yeah, that was about 3 weeks ago. So there's no
neat.
There's no date on it, but that's the most recent
there
update.
It's coming, maybe. Oh, that's interesting. It is coming.
I think someone.
I thought it would be dead.
Some reply in a post was saying that
with the TD insurance,
the date or month it's supposed to release is supposed to coincide with something story related in the game. So I wonder if I don't really recall. So maybe that's not. But apparently it's also supposed to be bigger. This other post says it's 3 times the original planned size. So maybe that's also why it's taking long. We'll see.
That never happens with like projects. That never happens where a project gets way bigger than it was originally said to be.
I'm sure it'll be
that's neat.
I'm sure it'll be pop up in one of these Nintendo directs or showcases or whatever they want to call them.
Yeah. It was a neat game. It's got a neat story too. It's like kind of dark and really like a really interesting, bizarre, out there, not too talky, because I hate that in games. It's not too talky. It's like an interesting, dark, messed up like story told through short vignettes and then mostly action, you know. So that I liked it for that. It was like, this isn't overstaying its welcome. This isn't like anime cutscenes, you know. This is like, let's tell you a little story. Okay, it's getting weirder.
And the neat thing is there's like a timer on your dialogue options too, kind of like the Walking Dead games, but it's much quicker, and you can either have a normal response or just like a get to the point kind of response or something else. So it's just, and it's cool because like when you click it, it'll like slash the text or whatever and have an effect. So it's kind of like he's trying to cut to the point. He's like, just get to it, like all fed up. So it kind of plays into that. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. And it's on brand because the character's very angry and weird. And so there's like, it's an angry ninja experiencing psychological problems. So it was very on brand. Yeah, great game. Katana Zero. I think a lot of people have heard of it, but if you're listening to this and you need a little indie game that's like pretty exciting and well made, it's definitely, you know, a 10-hour or less game. Like if you're really bad at it, it would take you 10 hours. Yeah. Like you'll probably finish it in 4 or 5. even if you're only mediocre at games, so it's fun,
And
lots of replay value.
To clarify, it's not the Messenger, which is a Ninja Gaiden game, because I'm sure people will get them mixed up, because I'm pretty sure I mixed up the names or something at one point, but it's the
I want to play the Messenger too, because like Eli
that's
had played
also
it and
supposed
said
to
it was
get DLC, or maybe it did. I don't remember when that was planned. It was some summer DLC
and people
thing.
were fans of it. Everybody said it was really cool. It was the only thing strike against it is like how many side-scrolling platforming ninja games do you want to play on your Switch? It was like a little bit like saturated market of that type of game, so it probably could have done better had it been a little earlier on the system or something like that. That was my reaction to it. Was like,
I think
that
it
looks
probably
cool.
got
That looks really neat.
it probably did well or got enough attention. I'd be more concerned for Yacht Club Games, the Shovel Knight guys. They also made like a ninja side-scrolling game, and I'm like, oh man, guys, I've had like 3 or 4 of these at this point, and this kind of doesn't really stand out much. I don't know.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's the problem.
Oh boy, that's no bueno, bro. Yeah, it's a little saturated. Like, what we need is more games about plumbers that jump on turtles. Like, why is no one making that? Come on, what are we doing here, people?
The Shovel Knight Dig game looks pretty cool though, so looking forward to that. Anyway,
Nice.
move on to some other news. I don't know if we'll probably only talk about 1 or 2 in this section, but the next bigger piece is they had a partner mini showcase a little while ago, and so I guess what they're doing aren't going to be called Nintendo Directs anymore. They're just kind of put out these mini showcases, and then they'll just drop news whenever they feel like it on Twitter, kind of like they did with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And then these other showcases will be for their third-party games and whoever else they want to announce, because clearly they don't want to commit too harsh on anything unless they're really close. But even still, they did show some surprising things. They showed off 2 Monster Hunter games. So Monster Hunter Rise, which is like the next main franchise Monster Hunter game for the Switch. That's coming out in March next year, and then also Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is a sequel to the turn-based 3DS RPG, and that's coming out next summer. So those were the biggest announcements, and they had some other announcements in there as well, like Disgaea 6.
Is Monster Hunter exclusive to Switch?
I believe so.
Because
like Nintendo trailers don't show off like the other. Well, I guess nope. No one actually says their other stuff, but from what I recall, it is exclusive to Switch.
That is a big get for them. That is like huge. You can't. That is Japan alone will pay for the game. Like development. That's nuts. Like as my one friend put it, he's like, "Oh great, I can spare another 500 hours of my life. Good to hear that's coming." Because he's such a big fan, and that's what it means. And I was like, "Well, I'm in a group of."
They kind of needed like Monster Hunter comes out pretty consistently. Like as we know from Flea, they always have new iterations of the same one. I think Monster Hunter Tri probably had 2 or 3 different versions in some other games. So it's not surprising that more Monster Hunter games are coming out. But I think it's definitely important for Switch, because I think the only other Monster Hunter game they had was like just a port, and then Monster Hunter World was for other consoles, and that was getting like, I don't want to say it's an MMO, but it was getting updated and new stuff all the time, like seasonal stuff, so kind of like an MMO, and Switch obviously missed that. So this is kind of like their they're like, here now the Switch has like an actual new Monster Hunter game, so it's definitely good for them.
It's a big bet. The series is huge. The series has hardcore devotees. It's like if it is exclusive to Switch, that's like getting like Resident Evil exclusive or something like that. It's just like the series is enormous. Like the fans come back every time. Like it's I'm impressed. Like I am not in the market for it anymore. I played so much of it on Try that I burn myself out and never want to play it anymore. That it's like, because it's the game loop is so similar. But I was a hardcore addict for a minute. I played about 150 hours of like original Monster Hunter or Monster Hunter 3 Try, whatever they called it. And yeah, I don't regret it. It was super fun. It's really fun with friends. It's hard. It's exciting. Like Monster Hunters are cool games, but like when I played 4 on the 3DS for maybe 20 hours with my friends, I suddenly realized I was like, oh, it's the same game with like a little bit of new mechanics, but it's like it's got the worst problem. I think of it as a superhero movie problem where it's like every single one is the same. You got to have the origin story. You got to have like showing that they're not good with their powers yet. You got to have their downfall. You got to have them rise up and show that they are good enough with their powers. I'm bored. Like, and then thankfully the Marvel MCU got past that with a lot of the movies and bring people like me back, where it's like, we don't need to show you everything. It doesn't matter. We can just start in the middle of it and you'll figure it out, that kind of thing. Or we already introduced it. We're not going back to it. You already know who they are. Just deal, or don't. But like, here's the movie. And that would be what I would need out of Monster Hunter for me to like want to play it, because like the ones I played start out with the same boring game loop, which is like you have to go collect a few things and you have to like start learning to harvest stuff and like craft things and fight a few of the lowest level monsters, tiny little crap, before you can get into the badass stuff. And it's like, it's really, after you get through that part of the game, then it's just a boss rush with your friends, which is like, if you're a fan, you're hating everything I'm saying now, because that to me is just, it gets just boring, because I'm like, okay, inherently it's fun fighting these giant monsters with my friends, but there's not enough else to the game to keep me interested. It's like, but what else is fun about this game? Well, really, it's just rushing over and like fighting this giant dinosaur that we have to be super careful because we share our lives. We only have 3 of them. So if anybody dies, it's a big loss for the team. You got to work together. You got to all be good at the same time. You can't mess up. There's a lot of stakes. That's what that masochist part of it I love. It's like, this is cool. You have to be really careful and you have to rely on your teammates. This isn't a game where you're going to respawn. If you mess up too much, you're dead, and it's like, and you're all going to be pissed and you're going to go back to the beginning. But it's just like, 4, like right away, I realized I was like, there's not enough here for me. And my friends were kind of annoyed with me because they wanted me to play so we could have a team. And I was like, I hate to say it, I'm not having fun. Like I'm bored. Like I don't want to just level up my character ad nauseum for like 200 hours to get better armor so that we can fight bigger and bigger monsters, which is all this game at its core is. And I get it. It's in the title. It's not like you're lying to me about what I'm buying. It's like I'm hunting a monster.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would want to see reviews where like, oh, the new Monster Hunter isn't just the old Monster Hunter. It's this other thing. And I don't know what that thing is, you know what I mean? But it would be something else to make it exciting, something else. But one of my good friends is a huge fan, so he'll probably play a ton of it. So maybe I'll get a secondary report on whether it's good or not. He's a little bit obsessed. So yeah, but that's good. That's good for Nintendo on them getting the get franchise. It's can't be any bigger in Japan than Monster Hunter. It's one of the biggest. So.
The last thing we'll talk about today, they announced the next Smash character, of course. And it turns out it is Steve from Minecraft. But one precursor is apparently Sakurai said he's adjusting online for matchmaking. That was in the last 8.1 update or whatever, to also improve matchmaking, improve latency. I don't know how well that works. Ask someone else. But I haven't
tried since the update. I would say this. I have really good internet at my house. And I play some online, mostly against friends who have good internet. I don't play a lot of randos. So I can only evaluate on that. But I can say for people who bitch about it not working well, as long as you're playing someone who has good internet and you do too, I think that solves it. Because I don't even have a wired connection. And I don't have problems. Now you and me, Matt, have had problems in the past, but it was a long time ago. And I don't think we should base any judgment on that. It's also that we live in different countries.
I wasn't wired.
So, you're not wired. I don't know how good your internet is. I have Fios, and the ping is really high if I check it, if I bother to, but I don't have any problems. So I have fiber optic. So.
Okay. I only have, 15 megabytes up.
I'd have to look. So, I don't check it all.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Obviously it's fine, but it's probably not the greatest for. Actually, I'm not sure what you need the basics for online, but. because it always depends on who has the lowest connection. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say about that, because I know that people say, "Oh, it's unplayable online," and I'm like, I don't agree with that statement.
Yeah.
But if you mean randos, maybe. I don't know. I can't say. It's like, maybe randos are unplayable. I have had laggy matches when I delve into randos, but I don't do it a ton. When I'm on fire with Smash, I do a little bit, and I'd say 1 out of 10 might be really unplayable. So if that bothers you, then I guess it's like, but it's like 1 out of 10. I'm like, where it's like a little laggy, or sometimes a lot laggy. Admittedly, it's like, that's it shouldn't be that way. But I've been playing a ton of Fortnite for comparison. It's a free game, but it's also one of the biggest video games in the world. And I have plenty of problems where sometimes the game lags, or there's some pop in or something like that. It's just the Nintendo Switch is not the most powerful system, and sometimes that happens. So you know what I mean? For comparison, it's like I rarely get dropped matches, and I don't think I've ever had a Fortnite match where it's so laggy you don't have to drop out ever. I don't think, but it's also a game with hundreds of players in it at one time. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I guess it's okay to complain about Smash. I guess that's fair, but whatever. I hope it's better now, since they said they tried to fix something.
Yeah.
So.
But
and so how do you feel about Steve, bro?
Sorry, let me just write this.
Because the main news is Steve.
Yeah.
It's Steve, bro.
So
and his zombie friends.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I didn't really want him in, to be fair. He's not really my kind of character. I think the character itself is hideous. I never really contested that he would have a bad moveset or anything, because there's a lot you can pull from Minecraft that could be make an interesting moveset. I always just hated that it's man, this is the ugliest video game character in existence. It has no personality. It's I think a lot of the reasons is probably that, and maybe because I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, and I'm like, old thing. It's too stupid. It's not really too new, because it's been around for a decade. So I would give it
way better than ARMS.
I would give that or Steve credit more than I would Fortnite. It's okay, yeah, it's huge, but it's also only been 3 years. Let's see if it fades out in a.
You guys would have been so mad if it was Fortnite. Oh my god, I couldn't even imagine.
That would have been terrible. Because then it would really feel like, oh man, they just don't care. They're just gonna add whatever garbage they want, because sure, it's big, but it's not at least kind of prove yourself more, last longer, because anything could be a flash in the pan, right? But I mean, at least with Minecraft, it's no, it's pretty consistent for how well it's been doing. It's not just the most sold game in existence. It's been around for a decade, so it's definitely earned its fair in that sense.
I mean, but you weren't that mad about ARMS getting in, and ARMS is a not very successful Nintendo game that's barely been around.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's a Nintendo game, so they can put in whatever first-party characters they want.
So
there's
no rule, huh?
It doesn't. Yeah, they don't need an excuse to add their own characters. That doesn't make sense, because it's supposed to be a Nintendo All-Stars game. I think that was a subtitle or said at one point in one of the games, or maybe it was for one of the modes. But I mean, that's what it originally started as, and that's what the majority of the cast is. It's a Nintendo fighting game, so I don't think that's bad. And it added a new mechanic. It wasn't just oh well, here's what's that? Here's Urban Champion that plays a worse Little Mac or something, where no one cares about it and it brings nothing, right? It did bring something new, so it's not just adding it for the sake of adding it. But
I mean, there's two things I would say there in rebuttal, just for the sake of fun rebuttal, is that I think somewhere along the lines, around the time of when we started getting DLC characters, I think I don't know if I'm right to say this, but I get the feeling the zeitgeist of what Smash is changed, and I know what you're saying. It's a Nintendo.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely become. It's definitely become a Hall of Fame.
So there's that, and the other thing is and I'm not debating with the arms thing. I take that off the table. I was just using it for like timing consistency, just to prove a point there.
Yeah.
Like the thing about you guys getting mad about Fortnite, I will say this is because, and it's with due respect to your bias, because that game got a lot of rep as like a kids game, like from a lot of people, and I'm biased because I like playing it. But like the thing about it is, it could be just as interesting in terms of like if you're gonna like make the argument, moveset has to be unique to make it interesting.
Sure.
I agree. I think that's one of the best things you can do to make it legitimate. There's tons you could do with Fortnite. It's the same as Minecraft almost. Like you'd have to rebuild the game, so there's like a builder. You'd have a character who can build stuff, because Fortnite isn't just, you know, shooting. It's all about the building. It's all about this weird meta about building towers. So it would have to be a character with like some kind of like, just like Steve can make blocks, Sakurai would be like, that same conversation, that super funny conversation he had. He's like, they come to me and say, can you put Minecraft in? And I think that's impossible. So I say, of course.
Yeah.
It's like, it would be insanely difficult. It would be like, how do you put Minecraft? I don't know what happened. My internet just dropped me. Sorry.
That's funny. After saying like, oh man, I have great internet. Internet dies.
Actually, I'm on Kindle. I'm using my Kindle to record, so it could be that. It's also a piece of crap, so it might be that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I'm happy about the Minecraft. Like, just to pick up where we left off, I don't know what I got cut off at, but I'm happy about Minecraft game. It's so legit. I never played it, but it's one of the biggest games on the planet. It's going to make a ton of people happy, and I think the character's funny. Like it's like that's really funny. Like that cracks me up that Minecraft is going to be in Smash. So I had a very positive reaction, even though I've never ever played Minecraft. It's way better of a call to me than like Joker from some game I've never played, even though I know that may be people happy to, or Terry, which is like fan service for like fighting games, which is legit in its own way. But I'm like, Minecraft, that's really funny. It's one of the biggest games in history in a literal sense. And it's it makes young kids, the next generation of like gamers, happy. It's going to make them interested in Smash if they weren't already. It's Nintendo with no ego, a game that should have made them billions of dollars that they passed on and did not buy when they were presented with the chance to buy Minecraft before it went elsewhere, and they passed on it. And with no ego, like Minecraft comes back home, you know, like in a way, you know, it's like, okay, should have been a Nintendo property. It's huge. It gets in. I don't know. There's something on like all levels that I think is a good call about it. Like it's the kind of thing that I'm glad they're. It makes me proud to be a Nintendo fan, even though I again never played it. Probably never will. Not really interested in a game like that. But hey, and it's funny you think it's ugly, because I'm like, I don't know. It's like kind of cool looking. It's demented.
No, I think shoot, I can't think and type at the same time. But yeah.
Don't become a secretary, sir. Don't become a secretary.
Not
a good job for you.
Anyway, no, I mean, like, I think it's kind of unfortunate because all of the other Smash characters get like a face or a makeover to some extent. Like you know, they didn't just pull Solid Snake out in his PS2 blocky model. They made like a full 3D. I mean, he's been 3D before, but they made like a 3D or a better 3D version of the Twin Stakes model, and like Simon Belmont, his retro design didn't have a 3D model at all. The only other one I think was from Judgment or like a fighting game, and it didn't even really look like him. So I think it would have been there's for people
Simon
who
got
don't
a
know,
huge facelift. Yeah, Simon like what is this creature that Simon became? You know,
it's not
like,
even close.
Like, yeah.
But no, I mean, like I like the design on the Minecraft 360 edition. It's mostly like one color palette, but it's got like the Smash sort of lighting to it. It's not all really gross and pixelated. It still keeps the blocky nature. It's just the texture of it is different. But I mean, whatever. That's personal preference.
Sure.
I just felt that would have been nicer. But the moveset is interesting. To be honest, it looks like there's gonna be. I don't know how well he's gonna play because it seems like there's a lot of setup for his special moves. And like a lot of obviously crafting to improve your better moves, and I'm not sure if that's gonna pan out well. Like, there's definitely different ways you can use them without getting having to be too crafty about it. Like, making a wall if someone's trying to return, that's pretty quick. But some of this other stuff is like, oh, the TNT, you can place it, or you can make like a line and then a pressure plate, and then someone has to come by and you also have to push on it. It's like, okay, well, I thought, whatchamacallit, Villager with his tree move, where you gotta plant it and then water it and then chop it down twice. It's like, I thought that had enough setup. These other moves seem like there's a way more time for you to be able to pull these off like properly. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I guess you can leave the
that...
TNT plate and it's probably not going to deteriorate it on its own, so you just leave it there and go to it. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how that works, because it seems like there's too much setup and not enough of a payoff, but I guess we'll see.
But that's the neat thing too, because like, you're right, like Villager's a great example like of that, where it's like, good grief, it's like you have to be really good, but then people do get good with it, and that's what makes it interesting, because it brings this new like math to the game of like certain people that figure out a way to like capitalize on that, and it makes it like fun. You're like, that's nuts, like, because like people are so good with Villager, and it's just like, and that tree stuff isn't maybe the main thing you lean on, but like once you learn how to put it into your mix, of the stuff you're going to do, how cool is that? I don't know. That's neat. I mean, yeah, there's also that part of me that likes it, because it's like, even if he's not that great for most of us, just that there's another play style. And especially since there aren't a lot of characters exactly like that, where there's that setup element to their moves, it's almost like there's a few. But when you think about it, there aren't a ton of moves like that in the game. There's like Snake with his like bomb, or Duck Hunt. You can like detonate things, but like that like whole like, here's a move that isn't immediate, is almost like a subset of certain characters like that are like limited to that idea, like where you play with this other layer to it, where it's like, I'm doing things but they're not now.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of weapons, like there's not a lot of weapon play in Smash other than swords. We know there's enough swords, but like, like that kind of weapon play, where I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like, I didn't watch it as in depth as you did, and I have to admit, our podcast Mike, our friend Mike, that's usually on this show to the listeners, he is very good at Smash, very opinionated about Smash, and I have to be completely dead honest here and say on the record, I'm almost glad he's not here, because I know he would just come here and hate on it, and it's like, I want to give it a fair shake at least. I'm like, well, we should play it before we hate it, right? Like we should try it, like it's, is it going to be good? Who knows?
Yeah. I think, but just, not that I'm any expert by any means, but I would say the most interesting and probably more easily accessible parts of his moveset are creating blocks, because that's something you can use in a number of situations, like he showed off. Maybe you can make yourself a platform if you're getting knocked off and return.
A ton of like it. Okay, right. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then like also the minecart, which if you use it, someone else, and you jump out of it, someone else can get stuck in it and carry them off. So there's probably going to be a lot of interesting scenarios where you're both off to the side. Someone uses it and use that to carry them a bit further, and they die, sort of thing. Yeah. So I think those are going to be really two of the most useful and most interesting. TNT, I don't know, but those for sure are definitely going to get used a lot.
I have to say, like, it could be, and this is like maybe being a little extreme, but it could be, since Inkling got in, the most happy I am about a character, which is a really weird thing, because I don't have any personal relationship with the character. I guess I can't say enough how much like it feels like the completely right call to me on some level, because like it's like you're saying, it's a unique move set. Like, it's all these things that could add new math to the game. And again, if it's not for you, that's fine. Like, that's kind of one of the things that I think gets lost in this conversation, is everybody wants every character to be for them, like in terms of their play style or a character they enjoy using. And I'm like, I guess I can see that argument if you already paid for the DLC and now you're getting characters that you don't think are great. And you're like, I paid for this, it should be good. And I'm like, well, the bargain you made here maybe you misunderstood it. It's not that every character in Smash ever is going to be a character you like. It's a library. It's like you're buying a library, and like it's like every book in that library is not going to be one you want to read. And another thing, one of my friends
Buyer's remorse is the simplified version.
Yeah,
just wait.
I mean, it's
but
yeah. Another thing, like, I mean, one of my friends said something the other day that, like, I thought I mean, he's not a super devoted fan of Smash Brothers. He plays it, he likes it, but he's like, I mean, I don't own any of the DLC characters either, but it's because I'm unlocking them super slow. I still haven't locked the major characters. Like, I'm doing one at a time for months at a time, where it's like right now I'm doing Game & Watch, and I play a lot of Game & Watch when I play my friends, and it's because he's my newest unlock. And so it makes me a lot better, like, with each character, because I'm spending a lot of time with them, and I enjoy doing it that way. That's just me being weird. But like, I was like, he said, well, I don't think I'm going to buy any of the DLC because there's already like 50 characters I almost never use. And I was like, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. Was that I thought to myself, I was like, you're not supposed to necessarily play Smash where like you like every character now that it's this big. Like, that is certainly a misunderstanding almost to think that you're going to like every character. I'm like, I never like some of the ice climbers. I just cannot fathom enjoying playing with them when I try them again and again. And I'm like, I want to like you. I think you suck. You're not fun. You're terrible. Like, I know you're supposed to be good, but I'm terrible when I use you with. It's like, I don't get it. It's like, so it doesn't pain me, like, to just not use them. I'm like, well, but like, wouldn't you, like, if I had them all unlocked and I still like playing Smash, I would be selectively buying these characters. Sure. Would I buy Joker? Probably not. He doesn't look that interesting to me. But would I buy Banjo? Yes. Would I buy Steve? Definitely. You know what I mean? Because they look interesting. And I'm like, maybe I'll play them. And if they're not, what the heck? I spent like $5-6. Who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
to add a different perspective, I think what makes a difference this time around is people are well aware that this type of Smash game is never going to happen again. Like, there's no way they're going to... At the best case scenario, they port it and maybe add DLC, but I don't think that's going to happen. So people know that this is kind of like the ticking time bomb of, if your character doesn't get in this time, you're not going to be able to face these other characters. Because I think for the next game, they're at least going to cut it by half to make it like reasonable, so that they,
which doesn't necessarily mean there's no new characters. It doesn't even nearly mean there won't ever be new characters, but you won't get it in this one.
Yeah,
the biggest one ever.
Yeah, I think the issue is like, I won't be able to play against all these characters or with all these characters interchangeably, because once the DLC is done, sorry, you're not going to be able to get insert character with against all these other ones.
You won't get. And so you're saying their emotions are running high when one more gets taken off the table. Like, it's like, okay,
because like, this is one less chance for my character to fight. All these.
My favorite, the guy I've decided is my favorite character ever to get in. Even though, let's admit it, the game already has your favorite character in it. Shut up. It's like, it already has your favorite character. Don't tell me your favorite character isn't already Smash, because they are. They all are in there. Like, we got them all. It's like, now we're getting greedy, everybody. Like, admit it. We're all getting greedy. Like, now we want like crazy pet characters to get in there. It's like, like Dante isn't that good. Shut up. It's like, but I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's a little bit of like greedy gamer expectation, I would say. Like, it's like, wah, like Mike, it's like, and you know what? The longer this goes on, first of all, Sakurai doesn't age, so we don't have any worries. He's going to keep making games for literally ever. Man is the same age he was 20 years ago. But like, I don't know. I just would wonder if we can. You're probably right. Let's assume the worst. And any future Smash Brothers is going to have to be like some complete, like, they're just going to have to face it, and it's going to start from the ground up, and they're going to be like, this Smash is going to have 50 characters or less. Just, that's the deal. Shut up. And many characters will not return in this one. The end. Okay, who knows what the future, but this one, you're not getting like Bayonetta again, or whatever. It's like, they're just not going to be in it, or whatever. All the licensing deals now.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the other big thing too, the third-party characters, because that's, I'm sure, not easy to maintain or costly at the very least. So
Of course. All that stuff is out the window. Like, but then there's that other part of me that's like, this is one of their biggest franchises. It sells like gangbusters. The money is made. Money helps things happen. And I think to myself, we shouldn't be so sure. Like, at the very least, the very next iteration of Smash, like licensing deals aside, that's like, yes, that has its own pitfalls that are like hard to call. But like for like, let's say the majority of characters that aren't a licensing deal, like if they just develop a team and Sakurai's built this one in a way that's like the code is clean enough that they can bring it over to the next one. Like, you and me both had like deep debates about like this Smash that I kept jokingly calling it Smash like 4.8 or something like that. It's not really a new game. You know, it's got enough content now that I'm willing to say, okay, it's Smash 4.9. You know, like it's like, but it's still, the game is, it's like the Mario Kart problem that like once you hit the perfect form, the game never changes again. It's always going to be the same. It's like, that's almost a problem in itself. And like, so the next one on Switch 2 or whatever the heck comes next, if the code is clean enough and they just use a similar engine, same engine, and they build tools to like bring it, I wouldn't know that it's everybody. Like, it's good to set expectations low and then defy them later. Like in 5 years when the workload is worn off and he's still exactly 28, still like, you know, still saying he has hand pain, but then also like showing off how he himself at Smash Brothers one-handed, you know, and like do the most amazing moves like with one hand on a controller. And you're like, okay, that's cool. You're like inhuman, like you're from another planet. And he's like, respectfully, Nintendo asked me to do another Smash Brothers. Could I do it? And he's like, I could. Just like, I don't know. Like, I think it's good we have our expectations low, but then there's those moments where I'm like, you're saying that now because the roster will never be as big, but that doesn't mean it might not be as like grandiose or like as nearly ambitious again. You know, like we don't have to necessarily accept that like this is it. Face the next Smash Brothers is going to have 5 characters. The end. It's like, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I think the other thing too is you're saying, you know, maybe they'll carry characters over or whatnot. I think the other thing besides licensing is just balance, because I know other fighting games have had like bigger rosters at some point, but I think they like didn't really care. I don't really know, but I'm going to make an assumption that one of those other games with like 150 characters in a fighting game didn't really care too much about balancing, whereas Sakurai at least tries to. So I think that's the other thing where it's like, you know, trying to balance every new character, we have to pit it against like 80 other characters to balance it is like too much of a workload to keep going. I think it's probably like an exponential issue where it's like, oh man, sure, we had one, but we got to test it against so many and find out what breaks the wall. Like even with the funny joke with this is like Minecraft, they had to like recode each stage just so he could get like the block mechanic in, and they add a couple of blocks each. It's not as minimal as I would have thought. So
awesome. It makes me happy. I'm like, it makes me so happy. Like that's another thing in Steve's favor. I'm like, this is him on this quest, this weird personal masochistic game designer quest on some level where it's like him with that statement. I could put it on a plaque on my wall, the one about them asking him to do it. And he's just like, it's impossible, I think to myself. And out loud, I say, of course.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like,
they
you're
just come
a hero.
over and the guy looks at me from under his glasses and thinks, oh, I can just make this magically appear. Fine, I did it. I fixed all the stages. Like, shut up.
Like, it's that Japanese humility of like, you're asking the impossible. Of course I can do it if you ask me to. You know, it's like, I'm like, you're a hero and this game is a work of art that is literally your life's work. This is, and you know it. This is your life's work. This is the thing that you will be remembered for, no matter what other cool things you've done. You know, this is it. And that he's on this weird quest now to like make this one the best. But people like that sometimes never get enough of that is the other thing. It's like you need to kind of think of it that way for now, because you can't think ahead. It's too much to even conceive of. You just need to focus on this one because this is the biggest one. This is the biggest project you've ever done. And let's just call it, like, look mentally, let's bracket it off and say this is the biggest thing I'm ever going to do. I can't think about other things. And then give it 5 years and then we'll see. You know, like, and in 5 years, you know, he looks, you know, he says, I don't know, you know, like, I don't know. Here, I have an idea. Like, I have an idea. It might not be the same idea, but we could try something here. We could try something where we take it back to basics, you know, or whatever, you know, like, but we don't necessarily have to like go down to like a super small, you know, who knows? Who knows?
That's the other thing too. Just because I know Sakurai for these characters lately has been like, the way I make Smash more interesting isn't by adding more game modes or this or that. It's by, you know, making these characters with different mechanics, and that's how he adds like flavor to the game or whatever. But I think if for the next game, assuming he has to kind of reboot the series, even if it does have a smaller roster, like there's other ways he can make it more grandiose, as you were saying before. Or there's different things he can do that he can make it grandiose, like you were saying. Like, who knows, maybe they'll actually put an interesting, not really story mode, but some sort of single player thing like that, or just some new mechanic for the way that revamps like all the characters that are in the game in some way, or maybe just redo some of the older characters' movesets, like Link. You got, you know, the Breath of Wild bombs and some other stuff. Mario hasn't really been updated in forever. Flood isn't really. I'm pretty sure like no one really uses that. Take it away. It's garbage. It's garbage.
Yes, they do, man. Hardcore Mario players use that. Yes, they do.
Give them some new stuff. But I mean, like, I think they could probably do some new things and like revamp old characters and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not the quote unquote end of Smash. You know, it'll suck if you're not going to have the character like in it, but I mean, there's different ways they can make it interesting again. I'm lucky because my main characters are all like Nintendo ones and like big ones.
Of course.
So I'm like, they're not going to get rid of Pikachu. What are they, crazy? I'm good.
Yeah. Totally. Like until like Pokemon and Nintendo split ways. Yeah, that's not ever going to happen. Not a chance.
Maybe they'll get rid of Charizard. I doubt it, but because he's also like Gen 1 stuff. So I think I'm good there. And Link, like, that's not going to happen. So I'm safe. I still wouldn't obviously want some of the other characters I like gone, but you know, you just kind of have to accept that's the possibility.
You know, I was going to say, something occurred to me when we were talking about. So when you were saying all this, the other thing to consider is that Nintendo is not above, like, it's the Mario Kart thing I said before. It's the Mario Kart phenomenon I think about all the time with Nintendo and being with it for my whole life and watching series iterate and iterate and iterate and then eventually hit perfect form. Like, they launched Switch with the exact Mario Kart that was on Wii U, and they haven't updated it yet. Keep that in mind. They're not above doing that, where it's like, well, this game's like pretty perfect, like, and there's no reason for us to make a new one this second. Like, so let's just like sell you this game. Like, and yes, it's a little bit different because, like, you know, Switch was a success where Wii wasn't, so there's lots of people who didn't play it. But the fact that we're now third year into life cycle of the system, and there has been not a peep of a new Mario Kart, like, it doesn't mean it's not coming, but it also is an issue where it's like, I mean,
that's another discussion. Sorry, finish your what you were saying first.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a given. It's coming eventually. But the fact that they were willing to like just port it over and launch it and be like, here you go, perfect game, you know, says a lot. And so we could also see that. My only point is we could also see that universe of Smash, where it's like the next system comes out and they launch Smash Ultimate, where it's like all the DLC included, you know, like, you know, and it's like they're just like, you know, here you go. Like, I mean, it's one of the greatest games ever. You all want it, and you don't, you know, you're all lazy, so you don't want to go back and play it on Switch. You want to play it on Switch 2 or whatever. So here you go. you know, like, and you know, that's it, you know, and it comes with an adventure mode or, you know, something new, you know, like that's it, you know, because they're doing that right now. Pikmin 3 we're supposed to talk about, and we're not going to talk about it because what is there to say, you know, and It's like they're doing that with Pikmin 3. It's like great game, beautiful game. We added a little something, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, but it's not Pikmin 4. You by rights should probably expect Pikmin 4 by now, but it's not. It's Pikmin 3. You know, we can sell it to you again, and it's, you know, it's a pretty great game. So like, you know, enjoy. Like, you know, and we aren't going to talk about the fact that there's no Pikmin 4. We're not even going to mention that.
Gosh.
Not going to address it. You know, it's like, so, you know, I don't know. We could easily, in my mind, we could easily see that happen with Smash. That like, even if this is the highest it ever touches the top of the mountain, that they sell it to us again on the next system for sure. Like they're just like, here you go.
Yeah, you know? I think there's at least the possibility of that happening for the next one. It's like it could be like this weird grace period / transition. Definitely not the one after that. I'd say you're shit out of luck for whatever the Switch 3 is. The next one, there is a possibility that, you know, they update it and it's all the same, but it's like, here's an adventure mode, or like you said, some other big thing, because anytime Sakurai does something, he makes it special.
Let's dream, like even more characters, like that they could even do that. They'd be like, we are not going to, this is not evergreen, but if you buy Smash Ultimate, you get the last 5 characters for an even hundo or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like there's like Waluigi and 4 Fire Emblem characters, you know? It's like,
oh my gosh.
You know, it's like, and you're all gonna buy it, you know, you are. Like, you know, it's like, you know, and that's it. Like, there you go, enjoy, thank you, Prince money. So yeah, like, I don't know. Anyway, interesting discussion. We shall see. Hopefully we'll still be here reviewing Nintendo games and talking about them and obsessing over them when that happens and having opinions. So good stuff. Any other news we got to cover? Anything else?
No, that's it. I kind of left that to the end. I wasn't sure if Mike was gonna pop in or not.
Yeah.
And also, usually our Smash discussions go on too long, so I didn't want to stick that in when Eli was in, because I know he likes Smash, but he doesn't want to, you know, talk about it as long as we talk about it. So
it's no Amiibo. It's no Amiibos.
Oh my gosh, Smash, whatever. Amiibo now.
No, Amiibo is based on Smash. Now that I can buy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
With love, I have about 40 Amiibos myself. Can't really throw stones.
You probably have more Amiibos than you have unlocked characters.
No, I'd say that's probably not true, but it's not close. It's like, if I had to guess, I don't know how many Amiibo I have, because I have a crate, as I've told listeners before, in my closet where I blind grab a new character out of it occasionally, and they're all still in the boxes. If I had to guess, I'd say there's 15 or less in that box at this point, probably less, probably like 10, because the box isn't that big. And then I probably spread around the living room, have somewhere around 15 to 20. So all said and done, I probably have 30 to 40 Amiibos total in my house. And I think last time I counted, I'm not sure if it's right, I have like about 45 characters unlocked. So now that you make me think about it. So, yeah, which is entirely too many, and I can never pick who to be. I'm just like, oh my god, I can't even find my characters, much less know who I want to be. It's ridiculous. So
I will say, mini rant. Steve, I hate you because you brought back gliding, and the problem with that was, so in Brawl, Meta Knight, Pit, Charizard, and there might have been another character had gliding. So if you held the jump button in the air, you could fly and glide. And they took that as Smash 4 because people were using it to, I don't want to say cheat, but basically Meta Knight was broken with that, and he could also like fly around stages, pretty big stages. And so they took that out of Smash 4, and it's like, all right, fair enough. And then now in Ultimate, Charizard doesn't have like the greatest recovery. His jumps are really short because he's so heavy. His recovery is like basically 99% vertical, and his horizontal is fair enough, but if you hit the stage, you're taking damage. So that's kind of a bummer. But he used to have gliding, which obviously helped with like vertical and horizontal. And then they took that out. Now Steve brought it back, and Charizard doesn't have it. So now his recovery kind of sucks. But Midnight and Pit already have great recoveries anyway. So how dare you? How dare you, Sakurai? You personally set out and did this against me. How could you?
Well, I mean, like, you're so specific about terminology, and sometimes I'm not as versed in Smash terminology, or haven't thought about it as deeply either as you. And when you say that, my first thought is, well, gliding, some characters still had it to begin with, like Peach glides, or is that not what you call that?
So Charizard's side move, Flare Blitz, if you hit another character or like a stage element, you will hurt yourself, because the point of that move is you will do more damage than typical moves, but you'll take damage yourself, and it's based off of like a Pokemon move. So it's basically like I forget the term for it, but basically you accept taking some damage for giving more.
It's like that little Pikachu has that whole thing as this mechanic. Pico or whatever.
Except Pichu sucks. But but I mean, like it kind of sucks because that's his recovery move. So it's like you can get yourself punished just for trying to get back on the stage, and I don't know that he really has. If he's strong enough that makes it even or not, because I'm not like that in depth to know. But yeah, I thought that was interesting to note that he brought that mechanic back, and now I hate you. Not really.
I guess I'll have to look up gliding as a technical term then, because like I think I don't understand what you're saying is back that's new.
So when you see I'll see if I have the trailer pulled up.
Like I know how Meta Knight moved. I remember that. Like how he, after he comes out of his up air or his up B, he can fly sort of. Like he's gliding. It's self-explanatory. Yeah. Like, and he doesn't do that anymore in the current one?
No.
Huh.
Yeah, so before you could hold it and you could like swoop down or up until you like hit a stage or after a couple of seconds. Now you can't. You just kind of go into free for all, which is like when you do a move in the air and you're just kind of stuck in an animation until you're falling. That's free falling. So,
yeah, and you're saying Peach doesn't count because it's sort of the same. It's like she's falling, like in her parasol. She's falling, but you can control it, but you can't fly upwards. Is that the distinction you're making?
Yeah, Peach just kind of like descends. So it's not really the same because she can't go up. She just falls.
So the distinction you're making is a character who can like kind of move upwards out of a fall without it being a move. It's like you can glide. Is the distinction? Okay, I'm trying to get my head around it. Huh. I obviously haven't thought about it.
I can't really.
I haven't really thought about it. It's like I haven't sat and thought about the characters in that way, and I hate Meta Knight, even though he's one of my unlocks, and I really spent a week trying to learn him better, and I'm like, I fucking hate you. like I just like your moves just are so lame that I find you boring, and then I have to go back to thesis number 1. Not every character's for you. That's okay. Like, it's like, that's why there's so many and why it's the best fighting game ever. Like, because there are characters that are for you. In fact, quite a lot of them, and they're all different, and that's neat. So all hail Steve. I'm glad you're coming to the game, even if I play you once and just test your moveset. You know, I think you couldn't be any more lame than Corrin or something to me. You know,
that's fair.
So, yeah, you know, so there, you know, like it couldn't be worse than Corrin, like pretty much the bottom of the barrel for me.
Actually, it's funny. Someone I know is like, actually, I like Corrin better than Byleth, which is pretty funny because Corrin got like a lot of assault before.
Yeah. Did you just say hipster? Just like call him a hipster and walk away? Like, sure you do. Sure you do. Nice opinion.
I don't think he cares for either of them. I think he's just saying like, out of the two, I like playing Corrin more than I do Byleth.
I'm so lame. I don't know the Fire Emblem characters that well. Am I saying
so
even the right?
Corrin is the like dragon character from Smash
I
4,
like
the
that one,
DLC
okay.
one, the white one.
No, what's the female from the like Smash 4 and earlier who really sucks? Who she's like a lamer version of Roy or something?
Lucina. She's the blue-haired one.
No. What is it?
Lucina.
Lucina, yeah. I hate her. Like, she's not even unlocked on mine. She's the worst. Like, why is she in the game? She's like the worst version of everything about those characters. Like, I'm
Fire Emblem Awakening was hot back then, and they had to. I guess they want to toss her in. She's just a clone of Marth, except like she doesn't have the tipper mechanic.
Yeah, she's worse than Marth. Like, that's I take it all. I think Corrin's kind of interesting because like those moves are at least like Bayonetta style weirdness or whatever. Like, they're like weird. And there's something there to them because they're interesting inherently as moves. Like when you turn into a dragon or you leap sideways or something like that. Like, yeah, Lucina, I'm just like, this is worse than using all the other ones. She just can't hit as far. She just you just stink like on every level. Like, it's like yeah, I did not mean to poop on Corrin so much. Corrin I actually find a little interesting. Like I'm like, okay, you're not just a guy with a sword. You turn into a dragon and do weird stuff. That's kind of neat. So, you know. So yeah, sorry to all the Corrin fans that are listening.
Yeah, all 0 of them.
Yeah, all 0.
I hate to try to make this longer. I don't want to go too long, but I just remembered that the Mii costumes was interesting. They added Bomberman, which was an assist trophy. They basically just use the same model, although the shirt changes based on your color, so that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, he's not playable for the people who want him, but it's still cool. He looks, like he would be a fighter. But the other one was Travis Touchdown is basically deconfirmed. Yep. He's a Mii fighter.
Yep.
So
not good. He was a perfect pick. If you put a gun to my head and I was the decider, I would admit that Steve from Minecraft is a better pick. I can be a big boy about this, even though listeners of the show.
But I mean, like, it doesn't have to be either or, right?
Well, with like 4 characters left or whatever it is, it does actually.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like Steve versus Travis. It could be Travis versus one of the other 4, right? But
sure. I mean, if it's on my desk and I'm the one to sign off on it, I'll be a big boy and admit like Travis is super niche. Minecraft checks a billion more boxes of what would be a good idea to put in the game. I'm like, Travis has a lot going for him, and I thought he was a shoo-in. And clearly Sakurai or somebody at the top agreed he made sense on some level to get in, but it was like not enough. Like, not enough. We don't need a male Bayonetta is what they said to themselves. It's like,
I'm kind of surprised because I figured that would be a good excuse to promote, No More Heroes 3. Like, I don't think they would have released it, the character Travis now, but I mean, like, that game's coming out next year, and there's definitely not going to be another new Smash character this year. It's going to be a couple months at least. So I figured he would have been a shoo-in, kind of like Bayonetta was, where it's like, ooh, you've got this exclusive game. Let's kind of promote it. But I guess they thought otherwise.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't.
It's nice.
As far as
it's nice to give it, but it's not good. Yeah.
Oh, well.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, and apparently Suda was talking like a couple of years before how if he wanted him in, he'd want him to be like a wrestler instead of a sword fighter. So he'd do a bunch of grab moves and stuff. I'm sure he'd probably have the sword as like the smash attacks, but
it would be both. It would 100% be both. I mean, it would be both because like that was you and I were talking on Skype. And that was what hit me. That I was like, if it opens with Incineroar on the screen, it's Travis because it would be the greatest like kickoff that it would show like him wrestling him and giving him a pile driver and stuff, like that he'd just come in and say something really horrific and like give a pile driver to Incineroar. It's like it's so funny because I have no interest in pro wrestling and all that stuff, but I have good friends who absolutely love it and non-ironically think it's awesome. They love it. They think it's the funniest performance art. They love the goofiness of it. They love how silly it is. They think it's like watching grown men comic book fight each other and adore it. And they love Incineroar for that, And I was like, oh, that was another box checked for Travis in my mind. It was like, cause those games, the No More Heroes games and and Killer 7, one of Suda's earlier games, have like this huge wrestling influence in them, that he's so clearly this like really big, like nerdy wrestling fan. And it's like, you know, it would have been a good fit, because Incineroar, even though I never even heard of him before he got into Smash, he's a good fit because there aren't wrestlers in Smash. So it was super cool to like add that idea. And I was like, again, for me, like Travis being someone I believe could really get in, I was like, that's a good fit. Again, it's like, you're going to add another wrestler character to balance Incineroar, but he's also a sword character. So that's a super cool crossover hybrid type fighting style that you could have, you know, whereas Incineroar is all wrestler all the time. You know, it's like, it's what he does. He grabs you and throws you around and jumps in the air and jumps on your head and shit. You know, it's like, you know, but alas, you know, again, you know,
Alas,
No More Heroes. Yeah, No More Heroes is not a big enough series. You know, it's not. It's niche. Maybe it'll do well this time out. And I hope it does. I think good. I hope it's good.
Incineroar wasn't in the game, he might have a better chance, because you know you could pitch it as like, hey, we don't have this wrestler character. It would be someone who could bring something new.
Yeah,
but
a new fighting style.
Yeah, but with that box, like obviously there's a lot of characters that have similar mechanics or play styles that are in the game, but you know, when you're adding DLC characters, you gotta bring something more to be able to get people interested to pay up more money. So I think with that box check, they're kind of like, well, we could do that, or we could do like 90 other different characters that could stand out a lot more, or have, you know, more fans that want this character or that. So.
Hey. Like I said, again, gun to my head, if I'm the decider, Minecraft Steve is a far better choice. He's a better choice than almost 90% of things you could pitch. The end. Like if I really get pushed to it, like I'm like, it's hard for me to think of a better call. Like, and like I can't believe in that decision more than I do. I was like, you're geniuses, good pick, well done.
I guess for a bright side for people who are, you know, still kind of miffed, at least he's out of the way. So one, you don't have to worry about the last character being like, frickin' Steve got in, piece of shit. Whereas now it's like, hey, that's out of the way. So now it can ostensibly only go up from there, because, you know, I guess your worst kind of fear came to reality, but there's at least 4 other character slots. So there's more opportunities.
Fire Emblem characters, my friend. There are a lot more Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine?
I don't know. The only thing, the problem with like dismissing that is that Sakurai did say it was. He said it was all decided in advance. It's over. It's been decided, and that was before the Byleth controversy. So that's the only worry. I mean, I hate to say it.
No,
but he did say
Fire Emblem
it was decided.
Not going to happen at this point.
Oh boy! Oh boy! I
don't
hope
think
right.
another game is going to come out before Smash even finishes, and they're not going to like double dip into like the same games.
Yeah.
So,
I
don't see it happening.
I mean, asterisk, except for Fire Emblem. Like, come on, bro! It's Fire Emblem. It's got to get it.
Well, here, if you're going back to it, like they're only doing it because it was promoting a new game. But if there's no new game, then they got nothing to promote anyway. So. And I doubt they're going to be like, hey, remember in Brawl, the fans wanted Lyn, let's add that character. Like, that's not going to happen.
Oh, my friend.
That character is not high enough on the list of fan polls anymore.
Don't put it past them.
Gosh. No, you just...
All right. Well, we will see. We will eventually. So there's 4 more, huh?
Yeah.
4 more. Still hope for Purple Tentacle and Leisure Suit Larry. Still hope.
Still holding out for Ryu Hayabusa and Agumon, which that's not going to happen. I said Agumon from Digimon.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh, Digimon.
It's
that's right.
Not happening.
Yeah, that's not a crossover. That's not a thing.
Well, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure if they're going to add another Namco character, they're not going to add Digimon before, like, Tekken. Even though he said, you know, he tried Tekken and he didn't really work, like...
Oh, he did say that. I never knew that. That Tekken's already been crossed off the list. And
Lloyd Irving from Tales of or whatever. But
interesting.
Ryu Hayabusa would still be cool enough. And I think there was another one I can't think of, but
Yeah. Well, we will see. We will see someday.
I'm sure they will add something interesting to this, say the least.
Yeah, it'll always be interesting. We can agree on that. And with that,
we will.
Do you want to go into the spiel?
Yes. Let's
I was trying to tee you up. And with that,
let's get to the end. So it's the end of the pod. We'll end it there for this. I keep thinking of saying week. I shouldn't even say like time period. I should just be like, and that's the end it for this episode, because
that's the end of this podcast forever.
Until the next one. Yeah. Just repeat it for like a year.
Until I feel like doing it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
where can they find you, Matt?
They can find me at the Manga Viking on. I don't even know why I say Facebook. I hate using stupid Facebook. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm working on some stuff. Hopefully it'll be out soon enough. I was actually semi-related. I was hoping it wasn't the new character. When they announced like a new character was coming, I'm like, oh crap, I hope it's not one that's involved in the project I'm working on, because I've spent 80 hours on it and I really don't want to have to redo the 30-hour. Like, there's one scene where there's special effects going on and I had to spend like 30 hours just to basically remove all that stuff and make it look normal. And I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I don't care if this character is coming eventually. Just let me finish the project and push it out. And then if it comes later, I can be like, well, too bad it wasn't when I was working on it, so I can't be expected to go back and do it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me know when the project comes out, because I don't check the social medias enough, but I like seeing people's work. So be sure to like give me a personal invite.
For sure. And where can people find you?
I've been pushing out some new videos for anyone that's been listening to this shit long enough to get to this point of the podcast. Check me out on YouTube at Unoclay Gaming, or Unoclay Gaming, or you can hit me up on Twitter at the same. I've been pushing out some videos. I'm going to do some videos coming up for fun, reviewing some homebrew Lynx, Atari Lynx video games. There's a pretty big homebrew scene for that handheld console, the competitor to Game Boy from back in the day, but a much more powerful system that didn't quite get its due because Game Boy kicks its ass in the market. But it's a really fun system, and I got a ROM cart that was newly released and minted, the hallowed and long-awaited game drive from a guy who builds custom stuff over in the UK, just released, and I got one in the first shipment, and it's neat, and you can download all the homebrews to your delight, or the whole Lynx catalog, which I'm not really doing. I like collecting the cartridges for it, so I'm more in it for the homebrews. So I'm going to do some videos, I don't know, I haven't decided on the format yet, just kind of reviewing a couple homebrews per episode, like, because they're all like really short. Some of them aren't finished, some of them are demo level, but it's like garage coders just like working on an old defunct system, making interesting or weird or half-baked ideas, and then occasionally some really good games, that are like, wow, this is amazing, someone made this like themselves, on this system, and maybe a couple hundred people on the planet will play it, but so I'm doing that. I'm going to do a couple videos on that. I'm also right now, as soon as we hang up, going to work on a video where I'm comparing Ghouls and Ghosts on 3 different consoles and see what the resolutions and how it looks, just for the sake of it, because I want to see, just because I'm kind of curious what it looks like to compare the different versions over the years of that game and the different ways you can play it these days.
What other consoles did it release on?
It's on, specifically, I'm doing it on SNES.
And then the Mini, and then the service.
And then online, yeah, exactly. Gotcha. To look at it side by side in a window and see if you can, it's the problem with doing this that I haven't researched enough is that since YouTube compresses everything so poorly and it's not going to look great on the other end. Sure. The point of it gets a little lost because I'm like, well, I'm trying to show the graphical fidelity, and then you're looking at it through a very imperfect means. So I had recently put out those videos for Galaxy and Sunshine comparisons, and then when I rewatched the videos, I'm like, oh, they look like garbage because I'm watching them through YouTube, and I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if there are ways to upload things to YouTube that somehow preserve a more HD look, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm just doing it for fun more than anything. So there you go. So that's what I'm working on. Check me out, Unoclay Gaming.
Nice.
So yeah.
All right, so wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your question, or if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle, or me directly at the Mango Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.